LinkedIn isn't that hard, right? You just do a post and all the leads come rolling in. Wrong. If you are making this assumption about your team, you are setting them up to fail. And in today's episode, I want to talk about that. G'day everyone, it is Coach Michelle J. Raymond, your trusted advisor for building your brand and your business on LinkedIn. And this week we're going to be talking about the problem of assuming that your team gets LinkedIn. And you know what they say about the word assume, it makes an ass out of you and me. And nothing could be truer when it comes to this and LinkedIn. And it's something that is kind of funny because I think there's this assumption that people think social media has been around for 20 years. LinkedIn itself, it's not that hard. Anyone can go in there, type a few sentences, maybe whack on an image, and ta-da, that's all that LinkedIn is. It's really that simple. And maybe it's just me because I've been using LinkedIn for social selling for like 10 years now, and I still feel like I'm learning something every day. And I'm committed to this. This is my business. This is my job. This is my community of people that are around me. Like I am living and breathing LinkedIn 24/7. Like it is crazy to think that your staff who are not trained in LinkedIn, who are not trained in social media, who are possibly experts in other areas of the business, can just somehow magically jump onto the platform and start creating all the content that's magically going to convert consistently, no less. And I don't know about you, but everyone that sprouts how amazing employee advocacy is, and it is, I'm not arguing that point, but it's not that easy to get people started on the platform. And sometimes it can even be people that want to be active. It's not easy for them. And I think a lot of it is because we really just think everyone's got it sorted and knows what to do. Now, I am here to tell you, if you are responsible for getting a team active on LinkedIn, even with all the tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity or you name it, there's 50 billion of them these days, no matter the tools that are out there that apparently make it so easy, there are a lot of things that get in the way before we even can get to that point. And I want to talk about those, about where I think the actual assumptions go wrong up front. And most importantly, at the end of the episode, I'm going to talk about how you can actually set your team up for success, because I think having an active team on LinkedIn is brilliant if you're in B2B, and it is a great way to help grow your business. But if you don't set them up for success, it is an absolute time drainer, resource drainer, and is not going to generate any ROI whatsoever, and can actually really undermine some of those internal relationships that you have with your staff. And that is the last thing that any social media program should ever do. If you're responsible for getting your team active on LinkedIn, and maybe you've been trying to do it for a little while and there's lots of stops and starts and a lot of inconsistency, and you're wondering why some people are staying silent despite all of your efforts, and others it feels like you're dragging them and no matter what you say, it's not going to make a difference. And then others are super active but going in the wrong direction. And then you may have others that could get there, but their imposter syndrome's like kicking off and they're just paralyzed and can't actually get started. You'll find that the bigger the amount of people that you're trying to get active on LinkedIn, the harder it is, because all of these things are some of the barriers that you're going to come up against. And the real risk is if we assume that everybody knows what to do on LinkedIn and we're not supporting them, then a couple of things play out. Like number one, you are going to get so much brand inconsistency around the place. Now, I don't think that employees just need to talk about the brand. I think they should talk about what they're passionate about and what's important to them and what they feel most comfortable sharing. And I think no matter what that is, as long as it's professional, it will always reflect great back on the brand, even if they're not talking about your products and services. So from that perspective, putting so many boundaries on what people can and can't say can often leave them tongue-tied. Like they don't know what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. Having a social media policy in place and branding guidelines up front is one way to do this, but it's that ongoing support that I think people are missing, again, because we assume that everybody knows what they're doing. If you've got a culture problem in your office, i.e. you've got lots of staff turnover, people are disengaged, they're staying silent, and then you're trying to push them to create social posts and talk about how amazing it is to work at the company, well, of course, we've got a huge disconnect there. So sometimes the issues that we have to sort aren't even related to social media or marketing or branding or anything to do with LinkedIn. But if you don't address them and assume everything's okay, then it just comes crashing down. And I see so much effort going into employee advocacy programs and people actually not getting anywhere, and they give up in the very short term. Like, these things are lucky to see 3 months max. And the people trying to run them are exhausted, they're frustrated, and there becomes that internal friction that's going on. A lot of this can really be resolved by just not assuming that LinkedIn is so easy for people. And I was sitting in some client training the other day, and it was a throwaway comment that was meant to be helpful, that just said, just throw it in ChatGPT. It'll do it for you. Sure, ChatGPT and tools can be helpful if you know what you're trying to do, know how to create a really great prompt, or have got someone there that has set those up for you and shown you how to use it. And the trend that I'm seeing and conversations that I'm having with people around the place is that there are some high level, super experienced people in many different industries, especially sales, that are really good at what they do, that have this thing called ChatGPT that has come into their world. Everybody's telling them that they should know it. For whatever reason, they're not early adapters, they haven't been shown, and they're really fearful that it's taking away from their credibility within their roles. And then that goes further. They think they might actually lose their job if they're not good at it. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on for people. And at the end of the day, you have to look after your team first before we can get really great outcomes on LinkedIn. What can we do to support everybody within the business with their different needs, so we don't assume that LinkedIn is easy, but we do give people simple frameworks that they can follow so that you do hit those KPIs that you've set for the business, that you are building brand awareness, that you are generating new business opportunities. And for some of you, it might actually also be that you're trying to attract top talent to come and work for the business. So many different ways that we can be using LinkedIn when it comes to building a business. After this quick break, I want to come back and talk about what are some quick ways and simple tips to set people up for success. I love that you've stuck around to hear about how you can set your team up for success, because that says a lot about the kind of leader that you are in your business. And I think actually caring and having empathy for others is a really great place to start. I think having social media policies and brand guidelines put up the guardrails for people, but ultimately that can also feel a little restrictive. If people don't understand it, they're often in other jargon and language used in other departments that may not be relative to that person's everyday job. So find a way that you can create those documents that are relatable to the people in other teams, and not just, for instance, using a whole bunch of marketing speak. That's the thing that I often find, or social media policies that just say, if you do this, you're going to lose your job. If you do that, you're going to lose your job. Don't do this or this will happen. And they're quite threatening, most social media policies. And I got to write one for one of my clients where we actually reversed that and wrote it in a way that would support the team so that they felt confident and safe to put themselves out there. Because you've got to remember, for some of these individuals, they think if they get this wrong and they're going to lose their job, that threatens everything in their world. Maybe they can't pay rent. Maybe they can't go on a holiday. Maybe they're the sole breadwinner in their family. Like, there's so many different things that go on for people that we need to be mindful of. And again, not everybody just gets LinkedIn. It doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter how long they've been working, or if they're just new in their jobs. A whole bunch of stuff is going to go off for people when it comes to LinkedIn and bring in a whole bunch of fears. So one of the things that I think you should do is just make LinkedIn part of the culture from the top down where everybody's getting involved. Like it's a team sport and not just this thing that we do on the side where we make busy people try and squish it into their day at some stage with no incentives, no real reason to be active, and no recognition or acknowledgement when they are active. So when you have a culture that actually supports these individuals, no matter where they're at, whether they're just getting started, and maybe a like or a comment is a big deal, and for others who are posting consistently, it actually probably feels like the same amount of work and effort for both people at both ends of the scales. And for those of you who think that you can just leave it to marketing or leave it to the sales team and they'll take care of it, and you're a business leader and you're not leading by example, this pretty much says to me that you actually really don't care about the program. You don't believe in it. You're not going to put resources towards it, and it's destined for failure. So you have to lead by example. It's a non-negotiable for me. There are a few things that I get on my high horse and say, thou shalt do this, but this is one of those. Lead from the top. And then when people see it's important to you, it becomes important to them. When LinkedIn's a priority within business leadership, I see that things like resources get allocated. So time gets put aside, training budgets get implemented. You see that we've got other people mentoring or supporting each other. Ongoing training happens. There are so many different ways that we can do it, but it starts off as making sure that LinkedIn's part of your culture and not just some kind of side task. I would also say that we're not going to assume that everybody wants to be a thought leader, everybody's going to be posting all the time, and everybody's going to be active. If you have 20 people that are in your program, you may be lucky to get one, maybe two, if you're really lucky within your business, that are happy to be active long term. So if you've got those people, really nurture them, take care of them, give them what they need. If they ask for extra help, training, support, resources, give it to them, because they are super rare. Like, we know that only 1% of people roughly in online communities create consistent content. So that leaves the other 99% of people who are either LinkedIn lurkers or those people that come on occasionally, right? So the odds aren't in your favor. So this is why we can't just assume that LinkedIn is easy. It is not. These online studies prove that. Making sure that what you give them is realistic, the targets of how much content people will create. So in the beginning, it might be just having strategies for liking and commenting on other content, working our way up into reposting or creating your own content with templates that have been provided or some kind of outline or guide that helps people. So templates can be really helpful in this place. And templates these days are not just around the graphics. Templates can also be ChatGPT prompts or other tools similar to that. What tools can you use that will make life easier for people? Those tools also require an investment from your side and not an assumption that everybody lives and breathes ChatGPT and knows how to write great prompts. So it is worthwhile, again, putting resources towards this to train and support people while they're learning. At the end of the day, all of these things are brand new. They are changing so quickly, and it's near impossible to keep up with. Like, that's a whole other skill in itself. So think about what can you do to help people and remove some of that friction. And so prompts that help with text, you've got templates for images that can be helpful as well. If I was to think about what is the one big assumption that people get wrong when it comes to getting their teams active on LinkedIn, it is literally how much time it will take and how much support they will need. And most people don't put that time into their calendar. Now, I would recommend in the beginning at least 1 hour per post to be put aside for your team members. So if you're asking them to write 3 posts, that's effectively 3 hours if they have to do it themselves. Now, some of you might say, Michelle, there's no way that a post takes that long. Really? Really? I want you to sit down and time how long it takes you to write posts. From the time that you sit down, trying to come up with ideas, writing, rewriting, using ChatGPT, all of these kinds of things, they don't just happen by magic. So I allow, when I'm working with my clients, at least 1 hour per post to do research, to refine the post, to get them approved. Like, these things take time. So set that time aside. And if you've got people that are good, pair them up, sit them in a room together, and actually allow them to focus and get things done quicker. If they get it done quicker, amazing. You've just got some of your time back. But in most cases, people think, oh, it's just a few sentences. What difference will it make? It's not going to help them at all. So from that perspective, biggest myth is assuming that posts are easy and they don't take very much time. The obvious thing is, if you were to go and ask one of your staff to go and stand on a stage and present on a certain topic, you wouldn't just shove them up on stage with no prior preparation, no support, and just go, off you go. It's up to you to go out there and deliver. But often that's what it feels like to people when they're asked to create LinkedIn posts. For many people, the feeling is exactly the same. Investing in training. Like, yes, I have an absolute vested interest in you listeners realizing the benefits of working with me and going through and getting your team's LinkedIn training. I know the difference it can make, even for those of you who might be listening. You've been on LinkedIn for a long time. It's not the same as getting your team active on LinkedIn. Or you're an amazing marketer with 20 odd years of experience. That doesn't make you a LinkedIn expert. There is nothing worse than when you've got a team that is, kind of fudging their way, trying to figure out LinkedIn as they go, not getting results. They'll get disheartened. You won't see an ROI, and these programs fall over quickly. Training just means you get to leverage my experience from making mistakes, figuring it out, working with clients of all sizes all over the world, and you can fast track your success. And the fastest way and easiest way to keep people involved in your LinkedIn programs is success, that feeling of achievement, this feeling of what I've done has made a difference and I can see results. Like, that is what I love doing with businesses. That is why my business, B2B Growth Co, exists. So if you are someone that is responsible in your business for getting your team active out on LinkedIn, and you want to make sure that they are confident and consistent, then you know where to find me. All my details are in the show notes. I would love to work with your business no matter where you are in the world. And let's start getting your team results and not assuming that everybody just gets LinkedIn like it's something we were born with. So until next week, cheers.